Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Talking Poop, the podcast where we talk about the movies, music, and media that make your pecker stand up. I'm your host, Jason Bromley, and with me today is a very special guest, a filmmaking auteur, an award-winning filmmaker. We've talked to him in the past, but since the last time we've spoken to him, something very special happened to him. He had his sexual augmentation surgery. Sterling, how did that go? Speechless.
I don't know how to answer that.
He's speechless. He's speechless, and that's what happens when you get your ding dong folded into a vagina.
You just kind of threw that on me pretty quick, so I was you have rendered me speechless, good sir.
That's what she said. Sterling, seriously though, man, it's been a tick or two. What's been going on in your life?
Well, there's been quite a bit going on. This has been a great year as far as filmmaking goes. I've had 3 successful films. One of them being my first feature-length film where I have a rough cut done. It's the documentary that we're going to talk about today. I've made a lot of very healthy life decisions as far as my physical health goes. I've dropped my weight below 200 pounds for the first time in 15 years. And so...
And then you decide to become a woman.
Sound like my older brothers.
Oh, Sterling, I love you.
Terrible. I know, I love you, bro.
Tell these kids what we're here to talk about today. You kind of already let it slip in your hello.
We're going to talk about documentary films. Jason would like me to discuss the experience I had in France with the documentary I filmed.
Do you lose sleep at night? Grab your pillow tight. Do you struggle to find why Han and Luke had to die? Are you just a mess? Does Hollywood leave you stressed? Because their sequels are more important than fan requests. Hold on to your chair, cause Talking Poop takes you there. You might have to change into some new underwear. Talking Poop.
For those of us who don't really know what endurance cycling is, explain that.
Endurance cycling is a competitive sport where these guys will actually ride their bikes for hundreds of miles, sometimes in consecutive days. Like they'll ride 2 days straight, they'll take a break for 8 hours and then continue riding. I mean, these guys are hardcore. So endurance cycling, these guys just keep going, they don't stop.
I know that when I went into this, I had no idea what endurance cycling was, nor did I have an interest in it. But you sat me down and I watched your documentary, and it's interesting, you know, and that I think any good documentary can take anything and explain it to anybody and make the subject matter interesting, whether people are interested in that or not. And that's what a good documentary does. And your film definitely did that. So kudos to that.
I appreciate that. I'm hoping that when it gets out there to the mass public that can translate to them as well. That's been the big thing.
I think it does. You definitely have like the opening idea is a crazy idea to begin with for these guys to go to France, these Americans to go to a country where they don't speak English, where they don't know their way around, and
they don't speak French.
Right, and compete in a cycling race. And what surprised me the most was that when you think of a cycling race, you think of somebody firing a gun and then all these bicycles start going, and that's not the way this went at all. You want to talk about that?
Well, the way these endurance cycling races operate, they start at different times. They don't just put everybody on a line and then say go, and then everybody just tries to get to the finish line. But they mark the exact time, and then they say from that moment, you have until this time to cross the finish line, and if you don't, then you are disqualified. They also have what are called time stations along the way, where you have to make that time station, otherwise you're out. In one particular case, these guys came within 20 minutes of elimination. They had 20 minutes, and they would have been kicked out of the race. But they made it. They continued on, and they actually finished, but not without a lot of adversity.
Well, and that's what I think makes the movie so interesting, is that they went into it with all the optimism in the world, and they're doing something crazy, something that I would never even attempt. Like, it just made me feel lazy. Just like the idea of it, like, made me want to cry. and they're just like all gung-ho to go out there and do it, and they're just like, yeah, bring on the pain, bring on the violence. But then once they get out there and actually start doing it, like, humanity steps in, and like you see these guys that are like 100% gung-ho, more than I could ever be, like being brought to the brink. Basically, they're like being pushed to the edge of their physical capabilities and their mental capabilities, and that is, I think, something everybody is interested in, whether you're interested in cycling or not.
Their names are Ben and Jason. Ben, he was kind of the nucleus of the whole ordeal. He had a monologue in the opening of the film, and one of the things he says in there that actually never even registered in my head before, but he's spot on. He said, "Hardships don't build character, it reveals it." And, we always talk about, adversity will make you strong, difficult times will make you stronger, but it's actually not the case. Difficult times actually reveal who you are. What he was getting at was that it takes years and years of building up that mental toughness, building up that choice within your head. This is how I'm going to be, and I'm going to take the necessary steps to be there, so that when you get to that moment, when you get to that point, the decision has pretty much already been made. That no matter how hard, no matter how difficult things get, you're still going to push yourself. And that was the mentality of Ben. And you see it in the documentary. This guy is broken, beat up. He was racing on a broken collarbone with screws in it, no bone growth. He had what was called Schirmer's neck or Schwimmer's neck, something like that. It's a condition that bicyclists get, particularly endurance cyclists, where they have their head down on their, when they're riding, they have their head kind of down, and what happens is the muscles in their neck give out, and then their head basically drops. Their neck muscles can no longer hold the head, and so they can no longer sustain the head. He was dealing with that from a previous race. So for this guy to go through all of that, and in the documentary on the fourth day, he's saying that it hurts everywhere, but I don't care if it's a week from now, I'm crossing that finish line.
Right, and that's where the mental toughness comes in, because obviously these guys were conditioned, and these guys were in the peak shape of their life, ready to do this race. Almost right off the bat, they are pushed past their physical limit. Like, you can't be in good enough shape if you don't have that mental strength to keep saying, I'm going to keep moving forward. And one of the crazy things that happens in your documentary is that almost as soon as they start the race, they get lost and they have no idea where they're going. And then that caused like huge hang-ups, and I can't even imagine, like, how do you keep up mental toughness when something so simple as like directions are fucking you up that bad? And I'm not like, I can't figure out how to get anywhere on my phone, so I can't even imagine. And that's like in my city where I live. So I can't even imagine going to another country where none of the signs are in English and everything's in kilometers and trying to figure that out.
Because we had people there that were navigating who'd never done it before. They'd never been to France, and they're trying to navigate through these areas. I think that really is a testament to what people are able to accomplish when they're put on the spot.
Right.
In one case, they were supposed to take a bike path, and the follow car didn't get there in time, and so he kept going, and so he went off by about 9 kilometers off track. And so when they finally caught up to him, he had to come back 9 kilometers. So they lost a total of 18 kilometers in about 45 minutes out of the race just because of that little miss.
You're talking to Americans. How many miles is kilometers?
I don't know the full conversion, but I know 5 kilometers is 3.2 miles. So 18 kilometers probably is in the neighborhood of about 11 or 12 miles.
Like, yeah, I have said this before to you, if I went 11 or 12 miles in the wrong direction in my car, I would just pull over and cry and give up going to the mall or wherever I was going. But like, to like have to turn around and then continue the right way in a race where you had days left to ride, like, I can't even imagine how frustrating that is. And then that led them to almost not make their first deadline and force them to have to climb a mountain in the rain and the dark.
Yeah, twice. Not
crazy.
They went up one mountain. It's the most famous mountain in France for cycling. It's called Alpe d'Huez. It's on the Tour de France. They went up it in the rain during the night. They went up another mountain the previous day, not in the rain, but at night. And it wasn't easy for them. It was painstaking. And capturing all of this on film was interesting. I had to remain the fly on the wall. I couldn't necessarily get involved. Seeing what they went through was inspiring. It was mind-blowing because these guys are older than we are, early to mid 40s. Knowing that these guys are able to do this at that age, it's what can I do while I'm still kind of in my youth?
You were in a very tough spot because so you guys were traveling behind them in a camper, and the camper was super close quarters, and one of the bikers would get into it and was supposed to rest while the other one was out riding the bike. The other one would come and rest in the camper. The camper was so motherfucking noisy. I could not believe it. Apparently you bought the only open top camper in all of France because it was so windy, noisy in there, and they couldn't sleep because of the wind and the noise. And
it wasn't just the wind and the noise. They couldn't sleep because of the motion. For whatever reason, they just couldn't. They could not sleep in a moving vehicle.
And you can see the sleep deprivation taking its toll as your film goes on. It's pretty crazy.
Oh yeah. They were, one of them mentioned in the film that he devolved into Gollum, and sleep was his precious that he just could not have. And seeing them when we first got there, and seeing them in the midst of this trial was practically night and day. And it changed me as a person, which documentaries are typically aimed at trying to do. And I couldn't have asked for a better education in film. I couldn't have asked for a better opportunity to get to know people of different viewpoints. And never in my life was I ever so happy to be so wrong.
Well, here's where I got to give you kudos, dude. You are someone who, you've never traveled outside the U.S., right?
Nope, never have in my life.
So you took on this assignment, which you've never made a documentary film before. You're mostly into making fictional short films, and you took on an assignment that was outside of the country with people that you didn't know. And wow, what a fucking adventure for you. There should have been a documentary crew following you around, telling your story. But the other thing is that you did this, and the documentary looks and sounds really good. I'm not just sucking your dick, but I'm telling you this because I actually was impressed that my friend went out and went on this adventure, a personal adventure, to chronicle someone else's adventure, but you did it completely by yourself. Way to put your balls out there. You filmed, you did the sound, you did everything, and you could have botched it real bad. One time I filmed a wedding and I didn't catch the bride coming down the aisle. That was super fucked up. And it's not like I could just be like, hey, all right, everybody stop the proceedings. Can she walk down the aisle again? It doesn't work out that way when you're filming. And you put yourself in that position. Were you not overly intimidated?
Extremely. I went in thinking that I could do this. And I realized on the first day that I was in over my head, mostly because doing it as a one-man show was not the ideal thing. I should have had one or two other people with me, but they just couldn't afford to bring more people on like that. Because could I have brought one or two more people, you would have gone with me.
Aw, shucks.
And that's not, like you said before, sucking your dick. It's you have the experience with me. You've stuck by my side these many years, and it's, Jason, we're going to go do this together.
And another thing that you took on is that you did tons of drone photography in France, and you've never used a fucking drone in your life, but you got some really epic, amazing shots.
I had a lot of practice before I left. Thank goodness for that. It was very fast-paced, very difficult, but it was educational, And it reverts back to what I said before about when you're put on the spot, the kind of things that you can accomplish. Now, you will be happy to know, you mentioned about somebody documenting my experience. I did a vlog while I was out there. I have about 5 hours of footage of just me talking about my experience doing this.
A vlog is where you put one of those like handheld cameras in your vagina, right?
Yeah, the new vagina that I got. Yeah, you jerk.
Well, I'm sure it's like brand new polished. And did you have the cherry put into it, or was it just like was it a post virgin or a pre virgin?
Hey, what is with you in sex operations right now?
It's what I'm most interested in. Remember when you went to France, the one thing that I asked you was if you could find the hole in the wall where the boys can see it all.
I looked.
But you didn't bring me back any evidence whatsoever.
I tried.
You know what? It's those damn Frenchies don't want to tell Americans where the hole in the wall is.
I don't think they do. I even looked all over in Paris and found nothing.
What?
They have it all sealed up tight. That's what she said.
Well, so, okay. How many people were in that camper with you?
At any given time, there were anywhere between 3 to 5, depending.
Right, so that's pretty tight for like a little camper traveling through France. I want to know, what did that camper smell like? And what was the shitting policy in the camper? This
is like exclusive information.
This is the shit my people want to know. This is what talking poop is all about.
Yeah. So here's what happened. At one point, the toilet broke.
No!
Yeah.
I'd have a goddamn panic attack if that happened.
It smelled so bad in there on the third day. It was to the point where when you walk in, you felt like you were going to throw up.
Oh my God.
But they did get it fixed. They did get it clean. And so that was resolved. The pooping policy is that the cyclists had first dibs at all times for the pooper and the shower. They always had first crack at it. Now, here's what I did that was extremely painful at the time. I'll never do it again. But I held it for 6 days.
What? Oh my God! How do you even do that?
I ate very little.
Dude, I could eat a corn nut and I'd have to take a shit. Did you have to like stick something in your butthole to plug it up?
No, Did
you take Imodium to like put a plug in there, or you just? No,
I just squeezed the sphincter together.
You just fucking Jedi mind trick that shit into your butthole.
It was a painful experience that I will never do again. I will probably have prostate issues later in life because of that.
Oh, definitely. You have doo-doo backed up all into your system now. Well, they say don't hold in a fart. You hold in shit for 6 days.
Yeah.
I gotta know, what was that shit like when you dropped 6 days worth? And where did this take place? Like, did you just go into a restaurant, like a nice French cuisine, and just go drop cannolis?
No, I dropped the cannolis in our Airbnb when we were done.
And did you blow up Did you break the toilet?
Well, let me kind of paint a picture for you. There's a difference between American and European toilets.
Oh.
European toilets are smaller.
Right.
They're not as effective.
They're not built for our American turds. Oh my God. That's awful, dude. When you look down in the toilet after a shit and it looks up at you and says, "I am Groot," that's too much.
Yeah. But you know, that's what this is. It's talking poop. We're talking about my poop. And something that I saw in Paris was a self-cleaning toilet.
How does it self-clean?
Well, after you get done using it, you hit the button to say that you're done. It seals up, and then it just sprays and sanitizes it, and then shoots all this stuff into the sewer.
Wow. Do they use toilet paper there? Because I figured they have like Frenchy sewers that can't handle toilet paper either.
They do have toilet paper, just single. They're not 2-ply.
Single ply?
They're single ply. Yep.
I also heard a rumor that it's pink. Is that true?
No, it's not pink. They're all white.
Did it flush backwards, or is that only Australia?
That's Australia.
Man.
No, because France is on the is almost at the same what is it, latitude as us, or the same? Whatever.
I don't know. I don't know math. Anyhow, so
I think that's geography.
Yeah, whatever. So I wonder what a little Frenchy poo is compared to an American poo. Like, if you just gave them like the Pepsi challenge, put one right next to the other.
I would imagine that a French poo looks like a croissant.
That's what I think, like light and flaky. But like an American poo is like dense and nasty.
I was thinking more along the lines that it's shaped like a croissant.
Oh, like I think the full thing, like I think you could break it open and it's steamy and moist on the inside.
Yeah, and then ours is like a double bacon cheeseburger.
No, dude, you break ours open and it's like a generic granola bar, where like it's got the bad chocolate chips that are just all melty on the inside.
Gets all over your fingers.
Yeah, but it's greasy like a cheap like generic hot dog.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's what I would assume.
Ugh, you're disgusting, Sterling. Why do you even talk about stuff like this?
One experience I do want to kind of bring up, something that happened in Nice. This French girl comes up to me and starts talking to me, and I said I don't speak French. Parlez-vous anglais? And she said oui, oui, and so she started speaking to me in English. And she asked what I was doing, and I told her that I'm here to do a documentary film on endurance cycling. I said I'm from the United States.
Oh, man, you totally blew it. You could have said, I don't speak French, but I kiss that way. And it just could have just got down on her, dude.
You got to remember that I'm a happily married man, I should say. And
yeah, well, if you're out of the area code, it's okay to cheat. And if you're out of the country, it's like you're a virgin again.
It's like expected. No.
Yep.
Not gonna happen. But anyway, she kept asking me questions about what I was doing. Told her that I was there, that I was an American. The second I said I was an American,
she said, "Oh, circumcised penis," because she's never seen one before.
Apparently, that is true.
Yeah.
In Europe and Great Britain, everywhere, they don't circumcise the men, and women apparently are appalled by it.
You appalled by it? By not the non-circumcising?
Yeah, they prefer it circumcised.
Yeah, they want the corn out of the stalk. And they see it, and it just looks like a big German Nazi helmet, and they just fucking bow down to it.
Oh, man, and not to that extent, but yes, it is true that they apparently prefer the circumcised. But she heard I was I told her I'm American, and she suddenly changed to, she switched from "what are you doing here with this" to "what are you doing when you're done?"
Oh, snap.
And I said, well, when I'm done, I'm going to go back to where I'm staying at my Airbnb. I'm going to upload the footage and possibly do a little bit of editing. And she says, well, are you doing anything tonight? After you're done with that. And I just thought...
and you said, I'm going to be balls deep in you later. That's what. Have you ever played a little American game called Nuts on Chin? You look like you'd be good at it.
I haven't heard that one. Nuts on Chin? I haven't heard that one.
Did you know that Americans squirt pina colada out of their nutsacks?
Ew.
Just, dude, you're supposed to fucking tell these women... No. Just whatever lie you want.
No.
In France, all the women are beautiful, and they all want. They're all DTF.
Dude, these women in Nice, on the Mediterranean, they're all 10s. They are amazingly drop dead gorgeous.
And why didn't you bring back any pictures of that? Why don't I have any drone footage of the beach in Nice? That would have made your documentary immensely more enjoyable.
I have drone footage of the beach. You can see a lot of people, but just not close up.
Sterling, did you fly your drone over the nude beach?
There were no nude beaches where we were.
In France, they're all nude beaches.
Not all of them.
You're destroying my dreams.
In the tourist areas, they are not nude beaches at all.
Did you go to Amsterdam?
I did not. So
you didn't see the red light district? Does Paris have a red light district?
They do, and I did not go there. That's probably where the hole in the wall is.
That, I guarantee, is where the hole in the wall is. No wonder you didn't find it. So, okay,
Yeah.
so you bone the shit out of this Paris lady. Make sure we don't let your wife hear this podcast.
No, I did not bone her, and I wasn't even going to go there. But anyway, what happened?
You were going to go there. You got it all set up. You got me all steamy and excited for this story. And you're telling me that she's like, oh, well, what are you doing later? Because I'd like a little American baguette.
No. So she asked what I was doing later that night, and I said probably going to have to turn in early because I got to, get ready for the race that's going to happen.
What a nerd.
And then she said, do you want to come with me back to my place?
Boom! And so you fucked her in a phone booth. One of those ones from Doctor Who.
I immediately said, I'm sorry, but I'm a married man.
God damn it. What is wrong with you?
What is wrong with me?
What is wrong with
right
you?
about me? Dude, no chance am I going to do that.
You're a horrible human being.
No, I am a good man.
Have you told your wife that you gave up on French Poon? Because she's probably going to be mad at you. I guarantee if she was in France by herself and some dude came up and was like, oh, oui, mon chéri, would you like a little on my pee-pee? She'd be like, yes, my husband would want me to.
No, I'm not a cuck.
You're not a cook?
Not a cook, a cuck.
A cock? Is that French for cock?
No.
I don't think they say cock there. They say cunt.
Probably.
You fucking cunt.
You can't wee ho ho.
So this chick was draping her French labia all over you.
She said
she was literally wet for you. She was like, come back to my house if you're so stupid.
Finally, she was tired of beating around the bush, apparently. She just finally flat out said, do you want to come with me back to my place? And that's when I had to finally say, no, not interested. And then when I finally left the area, I was like, my adrenaline was pumping. I was just like, holy crap, did this actually happen? I just got hit on by a gorgeous French girl.
It's called an erection. And it's what happens when a beautiful woman comes onto a man. And it doesn't happen to us very often. So you should have jumped on that. See, that's the thing is that they think our accent is attractive. And they don't know that we are nerds. We are just American. They think that we're the best that comes from America.
Probably.
I know so. You could have got some. Right now, with your...
what? I could have, but... I'm not going to do that to my wife.
Right now, with your shaved head and your beard gruff, you look like busted ass Jason Statham.
Oh, thanks.
And you could have hit it with a beautiful French girl, James Bond style. You could have made up a name. You could have been like, my name is Bone, James Bone. And you could have went back to a French girl's place. You don't know what's going on there. Probably all kinds of stuff. There was probably like... I don't know, bondage stuff, things she was going to tie you up with. You would have had a weird safe word, like bonjour.
Yeah, I do know that there is no French word for foreplay, so that would have been...
What?
Yeah.
They don't know about foreplay?
No, I just said there's no French word for it. They probably call it something else, but... No,
I bet they don't know about it. They just get straight to the fucking.
Yep.
And you could have.
I could have.
Oh, wait a minute. I get it now. I fucked up the timeline, Sterling. This is when you had 6 days of doo-doo in your butt, isn't it?
No, this was before.
Before you had 6 days of doo-doo in your butt?
This was before.
Before the race happened.
Before the race happened.
So you weren't stinky. Okay, all right. I get it. You were brand new to French Little American, Sterling. You weren't the man who completed this challenge. Had you done it afterwards, like you have a 5 o'clock shadow right now. I've known you for like 25 years and I've never seen any facial hair being able to grow out of your face. You're such a little baby face. And now you've come back. You're a man. You went to go have your pee-pee cut off and folded inside out into a vagina. And you came back and realized that you needed your pee-pee, but you didn't because you could have you could have gave it to that French girl and you didn't do it.
I could have, and I didn't.
Did you tell your wife about this? Did you tell your wife that this French girl hit on you? And what was her reaction to that?
Well, okay, here's the funny thing. Now, ever since I did the weight loss, ever since I started getting into shape, women have been kind of hitting on me.
People don't know this, by the way. How much weight have you lost? You lost a shit ton of weight.
I lost 65 pounds.
Jesus, that's Justin Timberlake.
Just about. Justin Timberlake's a pretty sexy guy. He brought sexy back, so.
He did bring sexy back, and you removed him from your body, and that's huge weight loss. So, so ladies have been responding to your weight loss.
Yeah, they've been responding to my weight loss here in the States, and I would tell my wife about it, and she would just go, "Oh, that's nice. It's probably not something you want to do, is, tell your wife how much you've been hit on." But
no, dude, they love that shit. It gets them all soppy wet.
Well, I don't know, but
anyway, a little jealousy is good in a marriage, Sterling. Like, it strengthens it. It makes her want that. It makes her remember that at one time you weren't just her little plaything. You were a fucking man about town, a man who would plow his seed and sow his oats throughout the land.
I'll tell you. Okay, I'll tell you probably the big reason why I wouldn't do anything like that to my wife is because when she married me, I was probably at the peak of my worst physical shape.
Yeah, I never knew what she saw in you.
A lot of people didn't. A lot of people ask that question, and looking back, I can honestly say, yeah, I can see that. And with the weight loss, with the change and all of it, she sees that I'm getting hit on, and it's almost like she kind of deep down knows that because she loved me when I was nobody, that there's no possible way I would ever betray her at my best, which I wouldn't.
Aw, Sterling.
Aw.
Sterling, you're so romantic. I hope she listens to this. And I hope that you get laid. And I hope that she wears like a little French maid outfit like that girl in France probably had back at her place. So I hope she gives you a little, you know what? Sterling's wife, if you're listening to this, you know who you are. You give Sterling a little booty action tonight. Just let him get inside your Hobbit hole just for a second. It doesn't have to be, it's like now and on Sterling's birthday. But Sterling did something special for you, and you should give him a little something special too.
Hobbit hole?
Yeah, her butthole, Sterling.
You called it a Hobbit hole. That's just funny.
Well, what else would you call it? It looks like a Hobbit hole.
Looks like a balloon knot, too.
It does look like a balloon knot, but if you spread the balloon knot, you see the little wooden door, the little round wooden door, and you got to knock and be like, "Hello, can I come in?"
I get back to the Airbnb, and I immediately
rub one out.
I immediately contact my wife and contact her via Skype, and she sees that I am, visually not normal. She's like, what's the matter? I'm like, you are not going to believe what just happened to me. And she immediately called it. She's like, did you get hit on by a French girl? And I'm like, oh my gosh, how did you know? She's like, I figured.
Did you do the same thing after you shit 6 days worth of poop? Did you call her and you were all pale and white? And she was like, did a French girl hit on you again? And you were like, no, I just shit 6 days worth of doo-doo.
I've seen things.
I just filled a bucket full of doo-doo butter.
Told her that, talked to her for a little while, and then after that, I just thought I need to stay focused on what I'm doing here. I can't be, I can't let those things distract me. So
it's true. You can't let scattered ass surround you from your future of making an amazing film project. Plus, you need your fluids to keep going.
That too. Man, you have such a way of putting things. That's amazing, but. Hey, this is about the endurance of the human spirit. Look at what I endured. Look at what I sacrificed. 6 days worth of doo-doo butter inside your body, and you didn't cheat on your wife. Forget their mental toughness, dude. Your mental toughness is where it's at. I'll accept that one.
And you stayed out of the fights too. There were see some things getting heated, and you, I think, smartly. I saw the finished cut. You smartly showed the things getting heated. But at the same time, you have a responsibility to these people. You can't show all the dirt, but you have to have some of it in there because it's interesting.
Well, it's not just about not showing the dirt. It's about not taking sides. And that was something that was very hard for me. Me being as opinionated as I am, I had to keep my mouth shut.
So I don't want to give away the ending of the story, but things get dark before they get light, and you finished your documentary and you came home. How many hours of footage did you have that you had to go through? This is the thing that's very daunting to me as a filmmaker, like the idea of doing a documentary and just filming everything and then trying to piece together a story out of it. Like, god dang.
I had probably a grand total of around 25 hours of footage.
Wow.
Grand total together.
And the final product?
Well, it's not the final product yet. It's the rough cut, and the rough cut came to 1 hour and 38 minutes.
Man, I can't even imagine having to lose all that footage and just trying to go through it and just find the story in there. Like, damn.
Well, some of the hardest parts was going through all of the action camera footage, the stuff that we recorded just posting the camera on the front of the car.
Right. Well, some of that drone footage you got, like I said, man, like I've never been to France, and it's a gorgeous place. Like your film made me want to go to France.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
that's spectacular.
Yeah, you got some really impressive stuff, and it's a very beautiful country. And I didn't realize you think of France, you just think of like the city of Paris, and you don't realize the diversity of landscape that is in France, the mountains and the forests and the city and everything. So where do you go from here now that your film's done? You showed it to the guys, and what did they think?
They loved it. We had a couple of people who weren't a part of the thing who were there, and they said that the video captured the story, it captured the landscape and the beauty of France, and they were able to keep up with the story. They all loved it. They were blown away, and at this point, I'm going to shave it down to about 65 minutes. Mm-hmm. They'll see it one more time, and if they love that version, then from there I'm going to get it color graded, get the audio fixed, and then send it off to film festivals. And this will be my first feature-length film. Yes,
and it's an impressive first feature for sure. I don't consider it your first because I've been involved in 50 fucking movies with you. If that's probably even a low number for all the movies that we've done together, including the unfinished ones that never got finished. So
that's true.
What is the name of your documentary?
The name of the documentary is American Moxie, Race Across France.
It's a very 1930s word. That boy's got moxie. Let's send him to the front lines and let him be a bullet bag.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
bullet bag. But yeah, I thought it was perfect for it. I had other ideas for titles and they just never panned. I never liked them. But then somehow American Moxie just kind of popped up, and I'm like, that's perfect.
Very cool. So before we go, we've spent most of our time talking about your experience doing a documentary, but I would like to go through. We've kind of come up with a list of our favorite documentaries, our top 5 favorite documentaries, and I'd kind of like to go through those. We're gonna have to go through them kind of quick, but I'd just like to go through those and recommend some documentaries that I have particularly enjoyed through the years. Do you want to start us off, Sterling, with your number 5?
Sure. They're in no particular order that I think one's better than the other. The first one is one that you actually suggested for me to watch was the movie Overnight. The director Troy Duffy. Yeah. During in the first like 2 or 3 years when you and I were working together and filming, I was a very just jerky, everything's got to be done my way kind of ordeal. And at that point, I had burned bridges, I'd pissed a lot of people off, and this is kind of telling to your character, Jason. Yeah, I'm gonna toot your horn for a little bit here.
Please do.
It's telling to your character, and the fact that you've stuck with me all this time, even with all the douchey things that I've done as a director. You said you should check out this documentary film. It's called Overnight, and it's about Troy Duffy. And I'm like, Troy Duffy, the director of Boondock Saints. He said, yeah, you need to watch that. You didn't say anything further. You just said you need to watch it. So I said, all right. I go and watch it, and at the end of it, I'm like, okay, point taken, Jason. I need to just chill the hell out. I need to not take things so serious. I need to not burn these bridges. I need to be a lot more diplomatic. That documentary spoke to me personally because of what was going on at the time, and you giving that suggestion couldn't have come at a better time. So
Well, I didn't actually give you that suggestion to be like, here, you're an asshole, watch this documentary and see another asshole. I actually just like, it was to me, it was an interesting documentary about a guy who he did Boondock Saints, like you said, and it was like an instant, like, indie hit. People freaking love that movie. So many people say that's their favorite movie. And then, but this dude, he got such a big head on his shoulders because his first project was so well received that he kind of became a prick, and he thought that he could be a prick and continue to grow in his career. And it all backfired on him. Everything that he built fell apart around him. And it was because of his attitude, because he had chance after chance to turn it around, to be a better person and do another project. And dude did Boondock Saints 2. Probably right now he's in a garage somewhere trying to write Boondock Saints, the animated series. And he's just not on the map, because he took for granted the amazing opportunities that came his way. Okay, so my number 5 is Loose Change, the 9/11 documentary that investigates some of the inconsistencies in what went on during 9/11, and I mean, they pretty much come to the point where they say the Bush administration perpetrated 9/11, and it's definitely skewed toward that direction. And I've learned since then, like, you can't just watch a documentary and just take it all at face value. Watch it. No. Go ahead. Documentaries are made to ask questions, but so many of them try to push you in one direction or another. The really good ones are the ones that ask the right questions and then don't necessarily give you the answers. They let you figure out the answers for yourself, or they spark the interest in you to do the research to find out the answers. For me, that's what the Loose Change did for me. But the scary thing is that it really pushes towards one direction. And in that 9/11 thing, look it up. There's some crazy stuff. There's some crazy information out there, but there's also some made up facts out there that just aren't correct, and they're given as if they're fact, and they're just conjecture. But that pretty much was the documentary that made me woke and made me realize that, like, you can't trust anybody, especially your government. And we are being lied to, and we have been being lied to for decades and decades. Like, America is built on lies. I mean, pretty much. We are the perfect example of the victor telling the story and putting it in history books. Yep. Like, the fact that we celebrate Christopher Columbus's birthday is a goddamn travesty. To go to a place that had already been discovered and that people were already living at. That's like going into McDonald's and saying, I claim this as Burger King. Or
are you going into McDonald's and saying, hey, I've discovered fries.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I have discovered the McNugget, and I will dip it in honey, and it will be my idea.
I'm going to dip it in Szechuan sauce, Marty.
All right, you're number 4.
Okay, so it's interesting you bring up 9/11. There was a documentary about 9/11, but not specifically about the politics and the terror behind it, but it was behind a photograph that was taken and censored, Falling Man.
Yes, I've seen this.
Oh my gosh, it is gut-wrenching.
Yes, it is.
I remember the first time I watched it, when I saw that photo for the first time, I just felt my whole body just kind of shrivel. It spoke so much about our humanity and the events of that day. It was published in one newspaper, and after that happened, they immediately censored it. They immediately cut it out, said, do not publish this photo ever again. And the filmmaker, the guy that took the picture, actually went out on a journey trying to figure out who this guy was, and talking to different families, finding out. Just a very emotional documentary. And it wasn't biased. It wasn't in any way trying to make you think that, 9/11 happened this way or 9/11. It was all about trying to figure out who this guy was.
Right, because the fact of the matter is that 9/11 happened. It was a travesty. It was a travesty that happened in our generation that a lot of us watched live on the news. And since then, 9/11 has become a marketing ploy. It's not September 11th, 2001 anymore. It's 9/11. You know, it's become this branded thing. And how many times have we seen those fucking planes hit the buildings over and over to the point where it's desensitized? But when you see a single man falling to his death, jumping because he'd rather jump than burn alive inside the building, you can't help but realize that, like, these were human beings. These were people. These were our mothers, fathers, and brothers that died. And in the end of the day, it doesn't matter who did it. It was done, and it was done to us. And it's a horrifying thing, and it's something, you know, even Don't Forget has become almost a joke. But it's really something that we shouldn't forget. And that documentary is very powerful that way.
Well, and the whole never forget, that's the portion we should never forget. The humanity behind it. We shouldn't have it the whole, you know, never forget what the Muslims did to us. Never forget the terror. It's like, no, never forget what these people went through.
Right. And our world changed on that day.
Oh,
we've been scared ever since, and to the point where we're scared of everything. We're scared to eat lettuce because it's all got salmonella on it. It's like
E. coli.
Yeah, they are constantly, everything out there is to make you scared, and that you should be afraid of everything.
It's fear mongering now.
It is fear mongering, and that's
pretty much what we live in.
That's how they keep us under control. Be woke, people. Be woke.
Pretty much. Yeah.
All right, my next choice is a little lighter. It's Best in Show, which you could argue not really a documentary. It's a mockumentary, but it is the funniest group of people brought together by Christopher Guest, who's the six-fingered man in The Princess Bride. And it is about the ridiculousness of a dog show and how the owners of these dogs are the most ridiculous people. and they get together to compete at this dog show. And it shows the worst of humanity, basically.
Wow.
But it's got Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara, and they're just hilarious. Christopher Guest winds up using the same people all the time. He uses... I'm going to have to look up the names now, but there's a billion names. You know all these people. Stifler's mom is in it, and Parker Posey's in it, and she's so hilarious because she's such a good straight person. And her and her husband have traumatized their dog because they had sex in front of the dog. And now the dog won't play with toys, and it's depressed. But it's so good. Eugene Levy has 2 left feet in the movie. Literally, he has to buy like 4 pairs of shoes so that he can get left shoes.
Oh my.
Oh yeah, it's crazy, but so funny, and it's done so serious and so deadpan. That's what makes it so great. And I mean, all Christopher Guest movies like A Mighty Wind, Waiting for Guffman, they're all kind of the same thing. But for me, Best in Show was my favorite.
Okay, is that on Netflix or YouTube that people can see it?
It was just recently on Netflix. You know, Netflix changes so much. I don't know if it's still on there, but it was recently on there. Definitely, you can see clips from it on YouTube, and it's definitely worth taking a look at because it's kind of like your documentary where, like, I would never care about showing of dogs, you know, but it's the cast and the subject matter that make it so funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to take a look at that one now.
Definitely check out Best in Show.
All right. Next one for me. It's one you actually suggested, and I sat and watched this one with my wife. It was Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Oh, snap. That's my number 3, too.
Oh,
ding, ding,
excellent.
ding, ding, ding.
Yay.
You win a dick in the butt. No, I don't know.
Oh, gross. You know, you and I were kind of the latter end with Mr. Rogers, and I didn't watch Mr. Rogers very often, but but watching this documentary and seeing what that man did for children, it blew my mind that he actually had that big of an impact. And sitting with my wife watching this, she was so engaged in this documentary. At one point, the scene where he's got his Daniel Tiger, and he asks the question, "Am I a mistake?" And then they have that little song. The documentary had such an impact on her that after that, it changed her approach to how she deals with the kids that she deals with in her life. She even started watching old episodes of Mr. Rogers. She's hooked.
It made me leak a tear too, and I have no soul left.
No, you don't.
And it made me cry. And the thing with Mr. Rogers, I don't even know if I can explain this to you, But there's a feeling, and it's mostly from my childhood, where I can't, it's so hard to explain, but so like, there's a particular moment when I remember feeling it really strong, and it was, I had this little pop-up trailer toy, and my grandfather, who never spoke to me my whole life, picked it up off the floor and was looking at it, and he was like really examining it, and he was really interested in it. And I got this feeling inside, like just this, like the warmest, most amazing feeling that my grandfather was actually interested and paying attention into something that was precious to me. And that's the way I felt when Mr. Rogers would talk. Like I would get that feeling like he was speaking to me through the television and telling me important things, and that he was interested in me. And that's something that I don't think any, just nothing, no form of entertainment or anything, even people in my real life have not affected me the way Mr. Rogers could affect me through the television screen. And the other thing is that as I've grown older and I've been more interested in finding out about people and what they were about and everything, my heroes from my childhood, like Walt Disney and Bill Cosby, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all these heroes of mine as a child, you grow up and you find out that they were horrible pieces of shit. They were either like racist, or they used to be Nazis, or they built Disneyland to hide all the bodies of the children he murdered. Like,
well, it wasn't to that extent.
Okay, maybe I went too far, but definitely putting roofies in the Kool-Aid, you know, like
I know what you're saying.
All of the people that I looked up to, you know, and sports people, all of them, you know, they don't deserve my respect and my gratitude. They don't deserve to be looked up to because they don't actually live the life that they purport, you know. And Bill Cosby was one of the worst because he was so preachy about how you're supposed to be a good person and how you're supposed to live, and then you find out how he was really living his life, and you're like, fuck you!
Then I'm gonna put the pudding pop inside the thing! Yeah.
But Mr. Rogers, he practiced what he preached. Yep. And when I found out that he was a preacher, and that was what he was actually going toward in his life, but never preached on his show to children, never tried to like spread the word of God. He spread God's message without ever bringing God into it. And that is an amazing way to teach. It's an amazing way to have people react. And the fact that he treated his children that way, he treated his wife that way.
Oh yeah.
And every kid in the world that saw him was like, he treated each one like they were important and that they were special. And he was doing that off camera as well as on camera. And that is what makes him an amazing person.
I think what to kind of expound on that, the thing that and this is just my opinion. I think that children are more intuitive than we give them credit for. They can see through bullshit.
Absolutely, they can.
They can see through people who are genuine and who are not. And Mr. Rogers, like you said, he was a genuine person. He honestly cared. He gave a damn about how these kids felt and how to help better them.
And like you said, he gave advanced, he took on heavy subjects like racism and depression, things that we're not supposed to talk about around kids. And that's not right. And that's not true. The kids are much more receptive than we give them credit for. They're always watching and they're always absorbing. And my son is 5 years old and he understands concepts that I can't believe that he grasps.
Yeah.
He explains, you know, his dad's a filmmaker, but we were watching like Earth 2 the other day, and he was talking about the camera placement and how did they get the camera so close to these animals. That's something a 5-year-old shouldn't be thinking about. And he, you know, and I've never sat him down and like explained it to him, but he's heard me talk. He's heard me talk to you. He's heard me do podcasting. He goes, I know what you want for Christmas, Dad. You want podcasting stuff so that we can get rich and move to Washington. This is just stuff that he picks up on his own, you know, and he puts it together himself. And it's, you know, and you don't have to talk down to kids. You just talk to kids and they respond and they get it.
And I think if a lot of educators, and this is in no way by any means to talk down to our educators, you know, they're doing everything they can. If there could be more genuine interest in the children, get rid of the bull crap in your life and be as genuine as you can. I think the kids, even in some of those bad areas, would be more receptive to what you want to give them.
Absolutely. That's what I was talking about with my grandfather, is that the moment that me and him connected the most was when he took a couple of minutes to pay attention to something that I was interested in. And he was genuine about it. He wasn't just like, oh, yeah, that's real nice, a real nice toy, and then he's watching like his show or whatever over my shoulder. He was interested in it because he had a trailer like that, and he was genuinely surprised that it had so much detail in it, you know? And it was like a Playmobil pop-up trailer, like, is what it was. And, you know, we had one of those, and it was just one of those things. And I still, when someone admires something of mine, and now it's kind of like when someone watches my movies, I watch them watch the movie, and I kind of get that feeling again that I'm sharing something with other people.
Yeah.
And like when I pull my penis out on you on Skype, and you just stare longingly at it. And I get that feeling in my heart where I'm just like, you know what? Me and Sterling are really connecting right now.
He cares about my feelings.
All right, so that was my number 3. So I'll just jump ahead to my number 2.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm Still Here, the documentary that Joaquin Phoenix did.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
where he gains 65 pounds, quits acting, and becomes a rapper. Yep. And it was amazing. Like, you watch that documentary, and it starts off with a David Letterman interview where he goes on there, and he's wearing the dark sunglasses, he's grown his hair out, and he's got a beard, and he's fat. And he went on David Letterman and acted like a complete psychopath. And David Letterman was like, what happened to you, man? And then that started this whole thing. And he lived like that for a year. And his friends, his family, they were just like, what the fuck, dude? What are you doing? And he's like, this is my new life. Like, I'm going to be a rapper. Like, acting isn't my thing anymore. It doesn't touch me anymore. So I'm going to try something different, you know? And he goes through this whole documentary, lives this way for a year. And when I watched it, I was like, is he fucking around, or did he goddamn lose his mind and document it? And then at the end of the documentary, you find out the whole thing was fucking bullshit, and that he was literally playing a character. Like, he was he was method acting for a year.
Yep.
Insane. And did everything he could to destroy his career. And then just like loses the weight, pops back out of it, and starts making movies again like it didn't miss a step.
And now he's the Joker.
Exactly. Now he's going to be in one of the biggest blockbusters of next year. And that documentary, like, watch it now, even knowing it's almost more exciting now to watch it knowing that it's bullshit, because I was questioning it the whole time. And I was like, if this is real, this is the saddest thing that ever happened. We're watching a man descend into madness and into depression. And the fact that it's fake and it's bullshit, but that you can see it now he's playing a part in his whole life. Like, his whole life now is a part. And it wasn't a part for a movie. It's a part for a documentary that him and Casey Affleck came up with.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. A dude poops on his pillow in order to like fuck with him because he's being an asshole. So one of his like homeboys goes and poops in his bed, and he comes down. He's like, guys, come on, who pooped on my pillow? Like, I'm laughing so fucking hard. I'm like, is this fucking real? What is going on now here? This guy is like a major actor in Hollywood, and someone pooped on his pillow. Like,
who pooped the bed?
Who pooped a pillow? That's what they should have named the documentary.
Yeah.
But just so fucking crazy, man. And it's, you know, just a great documentary to just watch a dude perfect his craft and do a social experiment that could have destroyed his career.
It was. I remember the David Letterman interview, and that like you said, it was just like, what is he doing? What is going on?
Yeah.
Everybody thought he was high because he was wearing the sunglasses.
Right. You were literally watching a train wreck happen in slow motion.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, you think Shia LaBeouf's train wreck was bad? This was like monumental. Like,
Shia LaBeouf's train wreck is still happening.
Yeah.
He's still got a couple of rails left on the track. And
but Shia LaBeouf never reached the level of Joaquin Phoenix.
I don't think Shia LaBeouf's is pretend. I think his
is real.
He's just a fucking weird dirtbag.
It's true.
It's crazy. All right, your number 2, Sterling.
Number 2, I would probably have to say it's one I hated. And you talk about being woke. And this is the documentary that really made me realize that documentary films a lot of times are purposely biased to drive you to think how they think instead of actually providing you with good information for you to come up with the conclusions yourself.
I can almost guess who the director of this is.
Who?
Michael Moore.
Which one?
Fahrenheit 9/11.
Close.
Oh.
Bowling for Columbine.
Bowling for Columbine. Great documentary. Ate it. He just fed it to me when I first saw it, and I was not woke at the time. And I just ate it up, every word of it, and then found out that he makes up facts.
Yep. Yeah, he's one of the worst of doing that. So we watched that documentary film in an English class that I took at Northern Arizona University, and we were told that we had to write an analysis of the documentary, and I'm thinking, oh, this is awesome. I'm going to be able to tear this guy a new one. Everything I just saw in there had to have been bullcrap. Using documentary films as a medium to manipulate, and like you said, making up your own facts. He did the same thing in Fahrenheit 9/11.
Yeah.
And it just, it made me get a really bad taste in my mouth for documentary films for the longest time. And I just thought, I'm not interested in documentaries. No, thank you. Don't want to watch it. Don't want to see it. And then YouTube gets big on all of that, and I start watching some of these, and that's when things like The Falling Man came in, and I'm like, oh, wow, okay, documentary films can be good and informative.
Right. Well, and that's the thing about Michael Moore is I had the same reaction as you did when I found out that so much of it is horseshit, so much of it is skewed to his political agenda, but then I realized later what Michael Moore is good at is making an entertaining documentary. And he's good at getting the conversation started. That
is true.
And he's admitted this himself, that some of the things he says are horseshit just to get the conversation started. And for that, I give the man total kudos. Because he gets people like myself, who back then, I wasn't really a filmmaker yet, and I was kind of ignorant to the world, and I wouldn't even give documentaries a chance because I was like, oh, documentaries are boring. I don't want to watch a documentary. Why would you watch a documentary when you could watch Die Hard? Well, documentaries...
Watch a documentary about Nakatomi Towers.
Exactly. A documentary, when it's done right, can be way more thought-provoking, way more emotionally... it taps into your emotions more than any film ever could.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it just gets a conversation going, and that's how the world's going to get better. It's by true. People waking up and having conversations that they might not necessarily be comfortable with.
Yeah, it's true. Like the 9/11 stuff, a lot of people aren't comfortable with that. So
there are people, when I say that the government could have perpetrated 9/11, Brian Gunn, for one, is someone who just wants to punch me in the face as soon as I even mention it. He doesn't want to fucking hear it.
Well, I know, and I know why he doesn't want to hear it.
I know why he doesn't want to hear it, too. He fought for his country, and he
exactly
can't accept that he could have fought for a lie. I'm only saying that because he is not in this house right now. Otherwise, I wouldn't even have finished that sentence. I would have been getting choked out, and I'd be passed out on the floor with little bubbles coming out.
We don't want that.
No. It still might happen now that I've said it. He might be on his way over here now. But the thing is that and like I said, I'll bring it out there just to fucking get the conversation started. I'll be like, Bush fucking knew. Bush fucking he called the security guard and asked him to go take a leak so that the terrorists could get through. I'll say something that's not real at all just to start getting people pissed off and talking about it, because that's how you're going to get a conversation started. And that's how you're going to get pig-headed people to listen and just think maybe the government didn't do it, but maybe the government did lie about some stuff having to do with it. If you can even accept that, you're on your first step to like becoming a whole person.
Well, we know that they knew Pearl Harbor was going to happen. They knew the Japanese were on the way. They knew they were going to attack Pearl Harbor. FDR did nothing. He actually told people to stand down because he wanted to get into the war, and he knew this was the only way to do it.
All right, number one, real quick. American Movie is my favorite documentary.
Oh, yeah.
Of all time.
Yeah, you
introduced
me to that one too.
As a filmmaker, this movie, if you've ever tried to make a movie if you are Steven Spielberg, or if you are a dude making movies in his garage, you can watch this dude trying to make his movie Coven. and this dude is like from the Midwest. He's got the strongest accent in the world.
He's from Wisconsin.
Yeah, he's the farthest guy away from Hollywood, and he is determined to make this movie his low budget movie. It's already fallen apart on him once, and the documentary starts where he's trying to pick it back up again a couple years later and finish his dream movie, which is supposed to be Coven, like a witch's coven, but he calls it Coven. And when someone actually tries to correct him on it, they say, "Hey, man, you know it's pronounced Coven, right?" He goes, "No way, dude. That sounds too close to oven." And just like this guy's name is Mike Bocart, and his friends are so fucking like slack ass stoner metalheads, and they're trying to make this freaking movie, and he's trying to get money from his dying old uncle, who's like the oldest, crustiest man, and they like feed him peppermint schnapps so that they can get him all fucked up, and he'll give him money to complete his movie. But when I first saw it, I thought it was a mockumentary because their accents are so strong, and these guys are so funny, and their life is so pathetic and sad. And the movie, they show clips from the movie, and you're like, this is a pile of dog shit. Like, this is crazy. But it's real, and this dude is real, and he actually made Coven, and it's just the struggles that he go through are real, man. And anybody that's ever tried to make even anything, like if you've tried to start a band, you know, you can relate to this dude's struggles. And it's so funny. In the beginning, he's like reading all his like overdue notices and rejection letters from like the credit card companies. And he's like, past due, will be collecting. And he's like, oh, well, what the fuck are they going to take? My Night of the Living Dead book?
And the funny thing is the movie actually wasn't that bad. Coven. It really wasn't even that bad.
It really reminds me of our early stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's that where you don't have the money to pay actors.
Nope.
The people do not have the vision that you have. They don't even have the interest. They just want to help you out because they're your buddy. And they're doing the best they can to help you like make your thing.
And they're helping you because they themselves are bored out of their minds and they've got nothing going on in their life. Exactly.
So it's definitely an admirable thing to try to get through. You know as well as I do how frustrating it can be being at the head of that mess. And people boning out on you and telling you they're going to be there on filming day. You got 10 people to film, but the one guy that you need to do most of the dialogue is like, I'm getting my dick polished right now, so I can't come over, you know. I've had so many friends there. They must have had 15 grandmas because they all died at different times when they were supposed to show up to film. Oh, sorry, dude, my grandma died. I had to go to their funeral. I'll be like, motherfucker, how many grandmas you got?
This is like the 5th grandma.
Yeah, so it's very frustrating, but it makes for a very funny, very entertaining movie. So that one's pretty old. That one came out in like 99 or 2000, I think. But definitely, I think you can watch the entire thing on YouTube. So definitely get out there and check out American Movie.
Yeah, you suggested that one to me, and I watched it, and that definitely gave me some hope and inspiration to keep moving forward myself. So that.
And Mike Bocart did succeed. He's done like a lot. He's done another movie, another full length documentary, and he's done like a lot of like commercials and music videos and stuff. So the dude that's least likely to make it, he actually made it. So that's something to look at when you look at that documentary.
Absolutely. You know, it's about the human spirit. So
all right, Sterling, hit us with your number one.
The number one is the longest documentary I've ever watched, but it's the Ken Burns Civil War series.
Okay, heard great things about this, but I never watched it.
Well, it's a grand total of, I think, like 7 hours long. But Ken Burns, his style is very classroom. It's a lot of pictures and a lot of talking, but he plays certain kinds of music, and he has a lot of very famous voice actors who are in there doing the voices, and you just become so engaged with what's going on and everything that you learn about the Civil War. It was the first time I saw it was when it was in my 8th grade class, and I remember when it opened up saying Civil War filmed by Ken Burns, and it's playing the tune Ashoka and Farewell. It immediately hooked me emotionally, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be something special. And watching the entire series, it blew me away. It was so amazing. It is on it's on Netflix, so people can look at it there. So for me, that would be my number one.
Excellent. It was really hard for me to put together this list. I put together it based on like entertainment value. But there are so many true crime documentaries that I would love to have listed on here. I'm a huge true crime buff. And if you want to hear the best documentary that happens every week, I've said it before, go download the podcast, Last Podcast on the Left. These guys are doing true crime. They're doing alien stuff. They'll spend an hour on Bigfoot's dick. They go from the most ridiculous topics to the most hardcore, amazing stuff. You can listen to all their backup episodes on their list where they've done all the heavy hitter killers. Like their series on Jack the Ripper was so good. Their series on 9/11 is heart-wrenching and gave me information that I never had heard from other places. They deep dive into 9/11. They do a really good one on the Oklahoma City bombing. They do a great one on Jeffrey Dahmer. These guys just knock it out of the park all the time. They're funny. They are woke, but at the same time, they joke about it and don't take it too seriously. So they're not total like nerds. And you know, the medicine goes down easier with a little bit of honey. You know,
it's true.
And I always say that.
They are very much nerds, but they make it fun and entertaining. And like you say, putting it down with a little bit of honey, these are very difficult topics, and they have what are called gold star episodes. Yeah. Where they talk about some very, very disturbing things.
Yes, they do.
But yeah, and again, you getting me into this stuff. You suggested Last Podcast on the Left. I've listened to almost every episode they've done now. These guys are hilarious.
Yeah, Henry Zembrowski takes the most horrible thing. He is like the comedian of the three, and he can take the darkest, gnarliest stuff, the stuff that these serial killers say in their books and in their memoirs, and he does these impersonations that are spot on yet hilarious. And he can say the darkest, gnarliest thing, and I will laugh my ass off. He just makes it so funny.
My favorite is when he impersonates Charles Ng. That made me laugh so hard.
You don't understand what I bring to the friendship. I do the spin kick all day wrong.
I do a spin kick all day wrong. Yeah, that was definitely my favorite.
Good stuff. But more than anything, I just want to say for people out there that maybe don't I mean, if you're doing podcasts, you're probably not afraid of documentaries, but I know that there's people that just think it's a waste of time and don't want to spend their time. Make the time. Documentaries can be beautiful, they can be inspiring, they can be educational, they can be funny, and it's all out there, and it's definitely worth finding out. These things don't come to theaters, and they don't get fancy looking movie trailers. You kind of have to seek them out. You have to hear about them through word of mouth, and that's what we're doing is trying to spread. I did my series on Surviving Christmas the other day, which was a poor Ben Affleck movie that made no money, and I've got a ton of responses off people that had watched it and were like, dude, that was actually really good, and I never would have watched that if you hadn't said something. So
That's excellent.
I know what I'm doing, people. I'm a good... Listen to Sterling. All this stuff. He's like, oh, yeah, you told me to watch that, and it was really good. I know my shit. So
it's true.
Do my shit. Sterling, we're just waiting for the festival circuit, right? There's nowhere we can see your movie yet?
Not yet, no. And once it's in the festival circuit, I have to keep it offline until it's gone through the full festival circuit. But once I know the festivals that it gets accepted to, I'll definitely, shoot that information out to as many people as want to know. And if you're in the area,
we'll keep everybody up to date on that, and you can keep me up to date on it, and we'll post it on our Instagram and all that stuff, so that you can share your love, you can spread your love. Unlike where you missed the chance to do so, all over the chest and face of that French girl. At least a French STD is a sophisticated STD.
It's one that smells like cigarette smoke.
I could think of worse things that an STD could smell like.
Well, people in France smoke like chimneys. It's insane.
It's because French people don't get cancer.
No, they don't, because they don't have a bunch of toxic crap in their cigarettes.
Oh, I forgot to talk about Morgan Spurlock, like his...
Oh, man, Super Size Me.
Super Size Me, that was a powerful documentary, man. Like, I know that hurt McDonald's, man, because, like, I don't eat McDonald's ever since I saw that.
It was his documentary film that made them start serving salads. Right.
Yeah, and everything that he's done, I've really enjoyed, and including his 30 Days series, which I don't think it's on Netflix anymore, which is a shame. But
it's not.
You could probably look it up online and see his Morgan Spurlock's 30 Days series is really good too. All right, man. So people, thank you so much for listening. You guys are giving me feedback and telling me how awesome I am, and I can't do anything but agree with you. I mean, I am killing it week after week, and just thank you for following us and listening to us and telling your friends. I love you guys. I love all the love I'm getting on Instagram. All the people that I'm offending on Instagram.
Yeah.
I love that our porno episode got pulled off YouTube. That makes me feel so good and warm inside. And
that means you're making a mark.
It means I'm making a mark, a big old skid mark. But it's my skid mark, baby.
Yep.
All right, you guys, keep listening, keep following, and keep spreading the good word. Sterling, leave us with a words of wisdom.
A word of wisdom. Something that somebody said from my documentary. There is nothing so bad in life that complaining about it won't make it worse.
There you go, people. What more can you say to that? That's good advice from Sterling E. Smith. Paraphrased from somebody in his documentary.
Oh, is it? No, it's a great quote.
Who said the quote?
Her name is Cecily. She was one of the crew workers. She also did some of the navigating. It was yeah.
Cecily, you messed up the navigating.
Oh no, she did a great job. With everything that we had to deal with, she did a great job.
All right. Well, we're going to leave you with Sterling's words of wisdom, things to think about, things to flick your bean about. Until next time, it's been Talking Poop, baby.